During the late 19th century, Native American tribes were already beginning to disappear from the vast, changing landscape of the United States of America. The invention of photography introduced not only a new artistic medium, but a new means of anthropological preservation, one that would be crucial in shaping our perception of its indigenous people. Edward Curtis was born on February 16, 1868, on a farm near Whitewater, Wisconsin. Around 1874, his family moved from Wisconsin to Minnesota, where Curtis continued his schooling until dropping out in the 6th grade to build his own camera. What he knew of Native Americans at the time was from this picture he saw showing the Sioux Uprising, the largest mass execution in American history. At the age of 17, Curtis becomes an apprentice photographer in St. Paul. 2 years later, he moves to Seattle, Washington, where he begins an immersive photography career. While establishing his studio, Curtis meets and photographs the daughter of Chief Sealth of Seattle, Princess Angeline, his first portrait of a Native American. The photo is a huge success. People haven't seen a Native American portrayed quite like this before. In 1898, he gains attention from the National Photographic Society for his picture of Angeline and is awarded a grand prize and gold medal for Homeward, showing the beauty of the Puget Sound. Following his success, Curtis sets out to photograph Mount Rainier, where he comes upon a group of scientists, most importantly, a Native American expert, George Bird Grinnell. After establishing a friendly professional relationship, Grinnell invites him to a ritual in Montana in 1900. Here, Curtis meets and photographs people of the Blackfoot Confederacy. Over the course of the summer, he begins seeing natives as human beings and recognizes the culture's disintegration. Curtis goes from a detached observer into an outraged advocate, and an idea begins to take root. He tells Grinnell he wants to document all Native Americans, that he wants to make them live forever through his photography. The typical attitude at the start of the 20th century was that the wars between natives and whites were over. In a census count, it is determined there are only some 235,000 natives left in the continent. Risking everything, Curtis sets off to create his masterwork, the North American Indian, and he goes everywhere. By horseback and by foot, he travels from the bottom of the Grand Canyon to high mesas of New Mexico, to the East Coast, and he's doing it all at a mad pace because he's too scared he'll either die or the culture will. In some instances, he realizes he is in fact too late. Running out of funds, Curtis asks J.P. Morgan, the richest man in America, for financial help. He refuses him until Edward shows him one more portrait from his portfolio. A picture of Mosa wins him over, and Morgan grants him a generous $75,000, which in 1906 was a great amount of money. He begins his first few volumes on the plains, and they're very successful for him. This uneducated lone person from Seattle is soon hailed as a master. He's documenting culture and beautiful stories of myths and creation, but it's taking a toll on him. All of Morgan's money is not enough. He's losing his marriage and his family. Suffering from manic depression and a lack of funds to complete his dream, he has a bitter divorce in 1919. From here, he moves to California and takes up hack work in Hollywood studios. It had to hurt him. The most experienced outsider of Native American culture to be shooting the fantasy version of them. Despite all setbacks, he doesn't give up. With his daughter Florence, he finds in the Redwood Country a group of natives living by rivers, successfully finishing the volume on California natives. With this momentum and help from his daughter, he finishes the North American Indian by going to the Arctic. He meets happy families, totally unscathed by the government and Christian missionaries, and it greatly moves him. He finishes his grand project, but at the time he doesn't own it. Deep in debt, he's forced to give up his copyright. So in 1930, at the start of the Great Depression, Curtis forks over all rights to his work to the house of J.P. Morgan. The man ends up selling most of Edward's masterpieces to a bookseller in Boston for the tune of $1,000. Curtis himself is forgotten. In his 77-word obituary in the New York Times, the North American Indian isn't even mentioned. Yet, he knew his work would live on. During his life, Edward Curtis witnessed Native Americans as people, and in doing so, devoted everything he had to preserve their integrity. Without Curtis's critical contribution, history books would not have been able to visually represent indigenous life in what we now call the United States of America.